Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday, Fade to Black.
back.
Happy
Happy birthday.
birthday to us.
We
we
did. We did it, and I got a cake earlier
wow.
today to celebrate this. I'm so happy, so ecstatic. Um, there's so much that goes. I mean, ladies, y'all know it may not seem like there's not much that goes in the show, but it does. But man, oh man, this is great. I never thought something like this happened around this time last year to now look at where we at.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that, Teach?
I want to say, Mr. Donnell Alamonte Morris, I am very proud of you. Uh, I remember when you talked about it, and I really didn't even know what you were talking about at the time. But I'm happy to see you fulfill your goals and your dreams, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Hey, Keith.
Hey Keith, Teach, thank you so much. But I want to thank you a whole lot more because me doing this was an inspiration that I told you that I said I was going to give you your own show. And when I did this and you came on, because ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Fade to Black, it wasn't named this show at first. It was called, you know, it was actually called. Hey, thank you, Keith, for that. It was actually called I Take It Personal, and then we just no, it was Alamonte Moore's Piss. I forgot what the show was, and then I decided to change the name and make it into its own show because I was like, we got too much going on right now just to keep it at this name. And and then it just took off from there. We had Alan Bragg on, and then Mr. O came on, and then Beast came on, and Beast, that was an incredible story all of his own. I wish he probably can. Hopefully, he can come on the show. But I mean, so much we could get into, but we got opening statements that we need to talk about because I need to do an opening statement uh, based upon my show this morning. I got a little bit of heat, Teach.
Oh, okay. He is
Yeah,
good.
I got a little bit of heat, so I got to as they say, I got to die things down. But let's get into it. Open the statements. If I can find the caption. Here we go. I'm gonna start it off. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, shots out to Sky Zone Society for sponsoring the show. My opening statement is based upon the past two shows, Alamonte in the Morning, about the Sean King story. So I'm just going to say this. I will no longer talk about the story. In the words of Nene Leaks, I said what I said, and I'm going to keep it like that. And I'm just going to let the story marinate for what it is and just see it for, what comes out. Because we don't know if, you know, Tamir Rice's mom and Sean Sean King will come together and talk it over. So hopefully they come together and they talk about it and it be something that can be resolved quickly. So for the Alamonte in the Morning, those shows will continue, and I promise it will not always be something serious. I want to start by talking about stuff that's a little bit more lighthearted for now on. But if there's something that's going on that's serious, make no doubt about it, I will talk about it. But this show here is going to be special, and also I got a real big announcement about the show that I didn't tell my panelists about. That everybody's going to find out firsthand. So it's all smiles today. I just want to address that. It's all smiles today, and we're going to enjoy and talk about memories of this show. And I really want to thank everybody who tuned into the show, always been there for us. Karen, thank you for rocking with us the long way. Thank you so much. And with that, I yield the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just love this background. But anyway, I am just so proud of Donnell, and not only him, but other students that I touched along the way. It gives me great joy. Even though I teach history, I also try to impart in each and every one of my students to fulfill their dreams, whatever their dreams is, wherever their dreams may take them. And I feel so good when I see my students or former students rising and going into their dreams. So I want to share this verse with you, and it goes something like this. If I should name life, I name my tears, I name my joys, I name the hills, and I name the valleys. Because the culmination of these things is life, the good and the bad. So as we strive to go higher, we will have valleys, but we always look up so we can get to the mountaintop. And to celebrate 1 year of your dream, a lot of times I hear people say, oh, I want to go into business and I want to do this and I want to do this, but I need money. I need this. And it's always something that's beyond you or out of your scope or out of your reach. But this show is indicative of leading with your skill and leading with your talent, and the money will come to sustain it. So when you have a dream, don't let your focus be, if I had the money, then I can do, because the money will never come. But if you do, the money will come behind you. So when Donnell started this series, he didn't know that he would have Sky Zone Society as a sponsor. He didn't know that he would have Cheddar Boy Popcorn as a sponsor. But he went ahead and launched in this series, this podcast, out of his own talent, out of his own skill. And we're 1 year in, and I'm proud. I'm happy. I remember, I just seen it, how it runs down your timeline. And I said, oh, well, he's doing this podcast. And I popped on it like, well, let me get you into the show. And I was happy. I mean, I'm very, very ecstatic. And I celebrate with you. I celebrate with you, and we're going to work on getting you more sponsors and getting up the viewership and making this show a total success. And again, I just want to say, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Don't worry about the money, but just use what you have. And quoting Booker T. Washington, put down your buckets where you stand. Work where you're at, and the doors of opportunity will open up for you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, on this wonderful, rainy Friday evening, I yield the floor.
Teach, thank you so much for that. Thank you. So, which leads into this, the breaking news that I have not told Teach, that I did not told Beast or Mayo. This is going to be the last show on Facebook. I have to do it. The reason why I'm moving it from Facebook is because we actually talked about it, me and Teach and Beast about how I have to pay to boost the viewership for our show, and I'm like, no, I am not going to do that. We used to have a lot of people that's coming on here, and I am not going to allow myself to spend money to bring people in when we already had them, even without boosting the posts. So this will be now. When I mean final show, I mean live. So we're taking all of our live shows and we're going to be doing it all and dedicated to YouTube. Now, now with our page, we're still going to share the link. We're still going to share the link from YouTube so you can still tune in to the show. But all of our main stuff, our main attractions, where we go live, it will be on YouTube. Now, this is not to leave Facebook on bad terms. I don't want to do that. I'm not saying that. I believe it's a move that will better benefit us to have a bigger reach and audience. I believe YouTube give us that platform. YouTube give us the opportunity to basically spread our word, spread our message, and to get a broader audience. But Facebook has been real for this since we've been broadcasting with you for a year. I'm not going to say it's been bad the whole entire time. It wasn't. We had our great times with Facebook. So I just think it's very fitting that with us hitting our year mark, that now changes starts to come in. So Facebook, I do want to extend a very big thank you for hosting our show, for, at the time, giving us all of the audience that we have. So I do want to say that. So that's the news that I want to say. Teach, what you think about that?
I think that's a shock to me. I know that Facebook, changed the algorithm, and I believe it's because of our constant conversation of that critical race theory.
Yeah.
So, if they can block Donald Trump, they're blocking us. So we have to go, like Joe Williams, a former guest on the show, said we have to control our network or server, or we have to control. We have to go into spaces that we can be free. We have to go into spaces that we can be free. And the only thing that we can do is let our viewers from Facebook know where we're going to be at. And that's it. I mean, we can still post, and they have to click on the link to get to the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, we gonna make it easier for y'all. I will be sharing the link out there when we go live. So starting on Monday, this upcoming Monday, we're going to be live on YouTube. All of our main stuff, our main broadcast is going to be on YouTube. So YouTube, how you doing? I mean, we're live on YouTube now, but all of our tips is going to be on you. But I want to get into it. I mean, this year, so much has happened. We had many guests. We had many different panelists. I want to start with the guests. We had a person who did a documentary. We had an artist.
I don't remember.
Not only, yeah, I think he was the one for this show. I think he was. I think it was the one artist that did the video, the drawing of Michael Jackson.
Oh yes, he was awesome. I forgot his name, but yes, he was awesome.
So we have artists from music. We even have nonprofit organizations on here. We even have business owners, as well as Real Chub Boy Popcorn. They were like Tish was saying, they were our very first sponsors, and they actually came on the show, and that's when we introduced the Black Business Spotlight. And so it was great that he came on, and I met him on a whim. You know, I met him at a Bit Lots. I was like, oh snap, Cheddar Boy Popcorn, and he was in the Big Lots, and I was like, and I thought he was, like the Avon lady is not their company, but they're selling the products. That's why I was thinking like he's part of this popcorn company. He's like, no, this is me and my wife's business. I was like, oh, okay,
That's
and I told him about the show.
opens up.
Yeah, yeah, and so then from there, I was supposed to come over and see him earlier this week, but I had to continue move my stuff from my friend's house. And speaking of real cheddar popcorn, I still got some of this popcorn left that I got. Hot cheddar. Oh my gosh, this
Oh my
sucker's
goodness,
hot.
I know it's delicious. I
Oh
just
yes, it is too.
ate popcorn right before the show, and I was sitting there eating my popcorn, and I'm like, "This is Friday night. I don't have anything to do." And then I'm like, "Ding! Oops, it's time to go."
so Chief, so out of all the guests that you can remember, or even the shows that you wasn't able to make it, which guest really had a profound effect on you to the point of going into this new, going into another year, you would love to have back on the show?
I would like to have. Wow, that's hard to say. I would love to have. Beast had brought on some girls that a rap artist.
Speaking of Beast,
Her good evening, Beast, and her
hey,
the girl who was producing. I would love to see them because they were kind of nervous and they didn't talk up. But she did sing a song for us. I would like to see them and actually give them the exposure and the opportunity to speak into the camera so they can craft themselves when they do get before the camera. They can, hit the main points that they want to say and not searching for words to say. They were
right,
a dynamic duo. And then we had Alan Martin. He was promoting his book. I would like to see him come back. And
oh yeah,
Keye Uhuru, who wrote the book AfroNet. I still have to buy that book. And who else? I can't think of their names, but Mr. Joe Williams, if he could, which I was thinking I need to contact him and purchase that software. I really do need that.
Mm.
And who else? I would like Mr. O to step in and seek away. We need that.
yeah, and unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, Seepaway, he's at the Olympics right now. He already dressed up. He's already in his Olympic attire.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Mr. O, he mysteriously I won't say mysteriously. We knew what he was doing. He's working on projects. And then I reached out to Alan Bragg, and he started out with us too. So it was great, having that, and the different in stores dynamics. And so, Beast, that you came in, we actually talking about guests that you liked and that you would love to have come back on the show. Who are your picks?
Everybody that T said, I definitely love. Honestly, I want all of our guests to come back. More specifically, and you know which one I'm talking about in particular. Yes, yeah, I want him back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I feel as though yes didn't get a comfortable setting for himself to actually say what he wanted to say.
The one with the documentary. The one Sleepaway brought up.
Okay, yeah. I didn't remember his name.
Yeah, Beast, that's a good point because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep it 100 on the show like I always do. I knew after that show, because I tell everybody, I send the invitation for you to come back on the show. I knew he was going to come back. I just do it. I mean, because I believe that he didn't prep for the show. I'm not saying that he wasn't ready. I believe he wasn't ready for, like Beast was saying, the environment that he was coming into. As you saw the whole entire show, I remained quiet. I let everybody ask all the questions. And I think that was one of our most explosive. I think other than when me and Mayo, when we had our a respectful disagreement, I think that was one of our most explosive shows because it was a lot of disagreements on every front, and it seemed like we wasn't getting to the middle. And so, and ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing: we wasn't even ready for that type of show either, because I remember I got the text from Seepaway, and I was on my way to my room. I think I was working out, and I'm trying to rush back as much as I can. And he's texting me. He was like, "Hey man, you got 10 minutes, or we could just postpone it." And I'm like, "You didn't even tell me that we're gonna have this guy a day in advance." So I'm like, okay. I'm like, only thing we had was a trailer based upon what we getting ourselves into. And there were questions that I really wanted to ask, but I never got the time to ask because
I feel like he was in a bad. It was just he didn't feel comfortable. It was a little too much pressure on him. So he felt as though he had to say certain things in a certain manner. So I would definitely like to give him, and I meant what I said then. I would love for you to come back, preferably by yourself, and really dissect what it is that you're doing, because I was trying to get him to understand, as far as being known as a documenter and known for documentaries, you still have to do some kind of elaboration and quick synopsis when you're talking about it. Like Michael Moore, like he's not going to tell you full blown what the whole thing is about, but he's going to give you enough information for you, at least for you to visualize the gist of what he's doing. Yeah. And if he speaks it right, it'll intrigue you enough to say, okay, I definitely will check it out.
Mm-hmm. But also that show teach. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Teach.
He was unprepared. He was used to all of the people that's on his team or think like he does. And when he was presented with people that thought differently from him, he wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
So he's used to having a cheer behind him. But then when he was, like at the 50-yard line and had the ball, and it really was another team of folks to prevent him from passing that 50-yard line, he had a different response. And in that way, I think I will be presumptuous. I think that prepared him for the next time that he premiered his documentary.
Yeah, I think the most funniest thing about that was, I was asking my question and he was feeling kind of insulted with the questions I was asking. And I'm like, one of those people that you're talking about lives where I'm at. I mean, if you come over here saying that, you're going to get run downtown. I mean,
might get swung on.
I think that's what he was not expecting. And I think when I look back on those shows and the shows now, we were aggressive.
Yeah, I mean,
nice and yellow.
Yeah, I think the reason why we was aggressive then is because, particularly for that show, we didn't know too much other than just a trailer, and that was it. Like when I was looking at the trailer, I was sitting there looking like, I'm not even gonna lie, I was getting pretty frustrated. I was sitting there like, why is he saying all these things about all these people
What's
that
the-
actually contribute to the community, and talk about gatekeeping and all that stuff and gatekeepers. And Beast was trying to help me out. Beast was trying to help me out, trying to put it in a different way so he could better answer my question. And it's just like he wasn't having it.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he was not having it. But also the funniest thing about that show was when Teach just let the guys just go at it and spat, because Teach, your biggest question was, then who's going to lead the community? Who is the model leader that you're talking about? Who is that person? That was your question. And could not answer. And when everybody was going back and forth, Tish was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. And what I'm saying,
another thing for those shows at that time, politically speaking, it was very aggressive, very tense, and contentious. So there was already that air about it, just amongst general conversations.
I blame that on me.
So
blame
the podcast, on the podcast form, it's going to get heightened a little bit. But what I remember about those shows, aside from it, was the facial reactions of me and Teach, because you could tell a couple of them shows, me and Teach just kind of signed out, like we clocked out. We weren't there. We was just looking at the time, like I don't want to just be rude and hang up on these niggas.
Okay.
I'm a smile. I'm a smile and let them finish. Like,
Okay, so I'm not the only one that. So I'm not the only one. Okay, cool. Because me as a host, I got to keep it going. But there were times where I be hearing stuff. I'm like, more stop. Don't do it. You're the host. Like there are shows where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be the host. I just gotta be the host. I can't let too much of how I feel, my views out. I'm gonna leave for my panel to do it. But then there are times where I just have to break that rule. Be like, look, okay, fine. Now I'm gonna have to say what I gotta say. So
the funniest part about those is hearing fans' reactions. Because people would tell me, like, it was funny. One girl watched the shows and she was like, they really pissed off Teach. I was like, oh, you can tell? She was like, yeah. She was like, both of y'all stopped talking for like a good 10 minutes. Y'all was just there. I was like, oh, so you saw it. Mm-hmm. She was like, Teach's face said a couple times she was just dying laughing just because the way Teach was just looking at all of us. Like, Teach.
I do not have a poker face. And I try.
No, you don't.
And I think
no, you don't.
I think about
don't need one. Look, we ain't playing poker.
I said, let's just smile.
Yeah, but even in your smile, we just do. She really wanted to say something. She's not all just smiles and giggles. Which brings me to another thing too. I love these shows, these type of shows. Since we talk about the tense shows, the most tense but enjoyable for me, I think it's enjoyable for y'all and people who watched it then, was Mayo, not Seepaway, and Mr. O, Professor O. I look forward to that every day. I will pick that.
I ain't gonna lie.
I'll pick over wrestling any day.
I'll be tired of some of them shows. I'm like, I gotta go to work. But it's like, what we talking about? Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump in because I just know them two niggas is about to go at it. And it's gonna be fun.
Gosh.
I can't wait.
Oh my goodness.
Look. What do we need to do? And then it goes to what we have here is a failure to seeing two smart niggas from polar opposite spectrums get into an intellectual shouting match. It's something beautiful when you see black men of an intelligent caliber still give in and concede to that inner nigga.
Look at what Vicarious said. Look. And
he know what it was.
Look and see, T. She just popped out. Hopefully, she pops back in. But I don't think y'all will be looking at the chat as much as I do, obviously. They will be talking about it. The numbers actually went up when they know that those two's going to be on the show. They just knew that it's going down. Oh my God!
You got a Trump supporter that's a non-American, so that adds a whole nother level of what the fuckery.
Yes.
On top of a new age African, and I say new age African in the sense of he found his name, he found his tribe, he found his origin. He is the equivalent of all the prison Muslims that went in as Leroy and came out as Akbar.
Yeah.
So see, these two niggas get into it, and I say nigga not to be offensive. I say it to be reflective of the energy. Because if you close your eyes, and endearment, if you close your eyes, it's the same energy that you heard at the liquor house or at the basketball court or just from the folk on the block talking about, man, you not gonna sit here and tell me. It's the same energy. But the words are different, and they're actually talking about something of substance, but they just refuse to agree.
I mean,
like, you not gonna tell me. You not gonna tell me.
Beast, it was gold. I'd be sitting here, I'd be sitting back, and I kind of feel like, you know, Vince McMahon sometimes, or freaking Tony Khan, when it comes to them, when they just go at it. And guess who always have to calm them down? She just peeked on in, and that's Teach. Teach always find a way to stop them. Like, hold
on. Hold on, Teach. Did we just have to do a wardrobe change?
I know, you see
no. No.
Okay, hold on.
No,
okay, maybe it's the background.
Yeah. No, the background is the same. The thing is the internet went out on my computer, and I had to go get my phone.
I looked up and was like, hold on, did her hair color change?
No,
she still pulled the Beyonce had to go. Hold on, let me go get the summer. Let me go get the summer Fury for the second half.
I might become. I'm having technical difficulties.
You good, Teach.
But I might be coming on the other room too.
All right.
Okay. Where am I at?
You're right here. Let me see.
I'm sorry. The angle of my face.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And Teach, you want me to take you out? I'll take you out so you can fix on that.
No, you don't have to. Well, the other one is coming up.
I got you. But everybody was looking forward to that. I mean, everybody was. But I want to hear Teach's side of that when I don't know why I'm saying Mayo. When Sipaway and Professor Owen at Teach, what's your take on that? Because I know you were just looking forward to it, but you was the one that always stopped them and be like, look. You was always the voice. Well, you the voice of reason on the show anyway, but for them, it was just
One thing, Professor O, I forgot how we became Facebook friends, but he always had this opposing opinion. And one of the things that I expressed to you in class, I'm opinionated.
Yes.
And you know, I used to be on a debate team. So you always allow the opposite person to express their opinion. It has no bearing on you. And that's why I like Professor O, because no matter what, he stuck to his opinion, as well as we stuck to ours. But we would have good, clean, knockdown debates.
It was awesome.
That's how you grow, because even he said, you know, he learned some things. He did grow being on this show and actually talking with African Americans, because he's down there in Argentina, probably in a small, if any, community of Africans down in Argentina. And when you watch the news, you tend to get a different view. And we were able to make African American life real for him, and not just what he sees on television. And Seepaway, he was a great added addition when he came on the show because he is smart and intelligent, and yet he also brought a different opposing view. And the beauty of it is, with the five of us, we all have different experiences. We're all on different levels and we're all in different places in our life. But as a community, as a show, we were able to come together and demonstrate through our individuality that there is not one single African experience. And that personifies what I learned in the first day of Africana Studies, is that there is not a single experience. There's multiple experiences. And that's what we have done. We shared those experiences from our lens, from our view. And so I appreciated the opposing. They may have a perspective that you just don't have because you don't have the experience. But if we give each other the opportunity to speak, we all can learn. And it's like Seepaway were a popular panelist on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think we had any lack of fans. So
But speaking of popular, popular panelists, Teach, you hands down the most popular to me because when this show was getting the snowball effect going, there was like, hey, I'll be telling us, tune into the show. You got a show? I said, yeah, hashtag Fade to Black. I said, I go live, Monday. Well, at that time, we was going live. Were we going live Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays? Or I think it was different.
Yeah, it's always been Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, cool. I was getting confused with another show. And I told her I gave her the days, and she was like, who's that one lady up on there? I was like, oh, you talking about Teach? She's like, I like her. She keep it real. Y'all be talking too much. I'm like, oh wow.
Look,
I'm like,
damn. By default of Teach being the only female on the dais, there's that automatic acceptance from just the female demographic. Then on top of that, Teach is educated, Teach is enlightened, Teach is experienced. So anything that comes out of Teach's mouth is, for lack of a better term, considered wisdom.
Yes. It's
it has an air of certainty about it. Yes, it has an air of certainty and an air of knowledge of it. So it's like something you want to take in. She's the type of person you can tell from her aura. Then listen to her talk for about a good 10 minutes. You'll definitely know, oh yes, she just ain't called Teach. She most likely got a teaching degree. And without you having to say that.
Yeah.
They don't, the women love you. Like my girlfriend was one of the women that said, where's Teach? And when Teach coming back? Because it's too testosterone on the show right now. Y'all need Teach on there. She keep y'all level.
Yes, she does.
Mm-hmm.
She makes sure ain't nobody gonna go rape. Teach is a respectful lady, so by definition and default, you have to act that way around her. Just the whole. Teach reminds me of a former supervisor I had at UPS. I have a love-hate nemesis relationship with this man, but I have the utmost respect for him. To the point it was like, he doesn't cuss in front of people, and he tries his hardest not to cuss in front of people. He will say what he got to say to you and tell you about yourself, but he'll try his hardest not to be vulgar. And it's to the point where we have so much respect for him, even when we have issues with him, we immediately try our hardest not to be vulgar as well, out of that respect.
Yeah. So I'm jumping on that.
You try to tighten that tongue up just a little bit as much as possible.
So behind the scenes thing, I'm happy that Beast brought it up. She would tell us like, "This is a guest. This is a guest.
Chill.
Watch your language. Don't
It's
say
so many
no
words
cuss
she be talking
words."
to me. It's so many words she be talking to me like, without saying Beast, calm
Yeah.
down. Hey, we have a guest. We should really be mindful of our words and our actions. That's code for Beast. Try not to cuss and smoke too much weed on the show for me.
So she be giving us
Respect,
a
yes,
smack.
ma'am.
She be giving us a smack on the wrist behind the scenes. Even on the shows, you can tell when we know that we take it too far. If you go back on the shows where I be talking, she would just have to look like, okay, we can stop talking. Like one time, she literally wrote me on we got a private chat that we ran amongst ourselves.
She's done
Like,
a couple
okay.
times.
She's like, hey, let's stop. Let's stop. We ain't getting nowhere.
In the 2.5 hour mark, the 3 hour mark. It's just nothing else.
Oh, yeah. Teach me like a first lady in
right.
church, and that private chat be the usher. She be on it. Look, tell that boy on that fifth row, stop it.
And sometimes, yeah, because
talking. Oh my God!
But help me, Lord Jesus.
So, which lead me to another time on the show that I really love. When Mr. O, and this is when I think this is when you went to I forgot where you went to.
Tanzania last year.
Yes, when you went to Tanzania, not this time, but the last time. Mr. O, we did a show for Mr. O where he talked about what's that city? That one city. It begins with a C. I forgot what it's called. Oh my gosh. Lagos.
Yeah,
Lagos. That show was dedicated to him. He did the whole show. I looked up the photos and he was telling us about it. I was like, me and Beast was just flooring. Just talking about it, just give me goosebumps. And I just felt Professor O's aura. And I'm not saying that his heart is not into it, like all the shows that he's done, but how can I put it? Where I really felt that his whole like soul was in it, it was that show. Because
that was a show where you really got to see. Like it was a moment for us,
for all of us,
like us as the panelists, to really see who he is and really understand his perspective on things. Because I loved his perspective on being a Trump supporting African, non-American naturalized, but he lives in South America. And so he had this weird amalgamation of information and views because he was our go-to man for Africa. Like he from there. He still got the accent. You gonna believe what he said. But then by him being in South America, he really enlightened us, me personally, to the actual high level, how blacks are viewed and actually, considered down there. Because me personally, you have a lot of negros that don't consider them that blacks are viewed. Oh, okay.
Oh no, that was me. That was me.
Okay, yeah, I was like, oh, caught me off guard, but it was a beautiful dynamic for him to speak on things because he gave us a different take on the black consciousness, but it was more the subconscious because it was unknown to a lot of us.
Right.
Yes, definitely me, because it was not the Americanized version of Africa. Because the only thing you see is the tribes or people with stuff on their heads and all that stuff. And he showed us a city, a beautiful city. I'm like, oh, snap.
Professor O and Teach definitely helped diminish that stereotype about Africa. Yeah, I would consider the tribal areas of Africa to be like the small towns of America, the small country, Midwestern, random towns that you can easily drive in and out in 15 minutes. Like that's what I compare them to. Like that doesn't make up the entire nation. That doesn't make up the entire continent. It's just a small facet.
Yeah, and it's important because all in all, what we were having were universal conversations,
Yes.
universal introductions. We were breaking down the walls and barriers of myths between those on the continent and those born outside of the continent. So, in each one of our conversations, we were growing. We were becoming, as they say, brothers and sisters, instead of the cousins or the stepchildren.
Right.
We were becoming brothers and sisters in our various conversations and our various forms of encouraging and enlightening the other on our culture. And I'm quite sure one of the main ideas about family, I know he used to harp upon about the Black family. And the Black family that he had in his mind is not the Black family that we live each and every day. And we talked about those things, and that's what I feel is so wonderful. But one thing I want to change the subject just a little bit, and then we can come back to this, is that when that night that I came onto the show, and I've been coming ever since, it breathed life into me. We were in the middle of the pandemic. I teach online, so I'm home all the time. And because it was the pandemic, we weren't going out, we weren't socializing, people weren't coming over. I wasn't going to anybody's house. The most I would do is go to the market, get some gas, and come back home. So at the timing of the show, it breathed life into me. Because on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I had an opportunity to engage with other individuals. So for me, it was healing, and it was much needed because Donnell knows I love to be in the classroom. Of all the things I'm capable of doing, being in the classroom is my greatest joy. It gives me the greatest amount of fulfillment. And so this is like a substitute classroom, even though I didn't conduct any lectures, so to speak. But the idea was basically I was socializing. And for me, it means a lot to me. It means a lot. And so it became an outlet. And also it's a fulfillment of a dream. My son, not my husband, he had told me years ago, he said, Mama, he said, you should be a YouTuber. I'm like, a YouTuber? And I'm like, but it was Donnell that initially put that idea in my head when we were in Kentucky. And since then, my son put it in my head too. But I tried it, but I couldn't pull it out. And it wasn't until actually coming on and being on Fade to Black that I guess I found my voice, I found myself, I found where I want to be in terms of doing a podcast or Fade to Black TV. And I think it's on the cutting edge of where TV is going. And this is an opportunity for you to get on the ground floor. No rules. You make them on. You just need your space to create the content that you so desire.
And Cheech, I'm happy that this show did that for you. But when we come back, I think that's a perfect way to end on this part of the show. So when we come back, we're going to talk about our least favorite show. Now, I know this is all great, giddy, and celebrating our anniversary, but there got to be shows where we just wish we could have just done something else. But with that, we will be right back. Ain't that something? My bad, Joe. I didn't even. I was just looking at the chat real quick. Welcome back. So I'm going to I'm gonna have a round robin. I'm gonna start with you, Teach. What was the most least favorite show that we have done on here that you just wish that could we just talk about something else, or I could have done something else?
I can't remember the specifics. I think it's more so the time for me when the show goes over the 2 hours, and I think I can't remember any specific show I did not like, but I can remember that time, and I remember one show was over 3 hours, and I don't know if we just couldn't shut up or we just had.
I believe that was during, because that's one of my least favorites too. That was on a Friday. The long Friday shows were the least favorite for me, just because at that time I was working third shift, so it's like I would literally get home, tend to my dog, do the podcast, and change and go to work. And most of the Friday nights, I was like leaving the podcast and then about going to do a day and a half worth of work, Friday till Saturday night. And those were like the Seafway, Dr. O during the election, heavy with the rhetoric and politics. Because those were the shows that was like, you definitely saw me and Teach like, okay, can we please shut up about this? Like, there's a couple times I looked at Teach. I looked at Teach. I don't even think she looked at me. Well, we both had the same look on our face, and I'm looking at Donnell. Donnell just got this look like I don't know what to do at this point.
Yeah,
like a frustrated single mom was just, why won't they shut up? God, won't you shut up?
I think my least favorite shows. I think I'm gonna go ahead and mix with what y'all saying. My least favorite shows are the ones where they do go over, and I should step in, which I've been getting better at, as stopping. Like, hey, look, let's try to keep it at least 2 hours at least. Like sometimes we have shows that's a little over an hour. And I was like, at those times, I wasn't that good because either the conversation was good or going back to what Peace was saying, it's like, like, oh, y'all gonna stop. Oh, y'all gonna stop. Oh, y'all gonna stop.
And
then
they just go with tit for tat at that point.
Right.
You're
And
just
so
trying to
and
find.
then
It's like a double dutch. He's just trying to find that moment,
yeah.
to jump in, like,
Mhm.
yeah, damn it,
And
slow
then it's
down.
too, and then it's too late. Yeah, and then it's too late. And then my other least favorite shows is when I had technical difficulties on my end. The host having technical difficulties. I remember because I remember when the internet, because everybody in the barracks have like the same internet connection, unless you get Comcast. And it was that one day when it first happened, everything was running smoothly, and y'all see it like my freaking page just go off. My freaking whole entire computer shuts down. And I think, and I always be thinking like, oh snap, the whole entire broadcast is down. But no, y'all still on. Y'all go. I said, hopefully they still keep the show going. And I'm like trying to fix everything on my end. And it happened so many times. And who's the one gentleman that had the server, the software company? What was his name again, Teach?
Mr. Joe Williams.
Yes,
For Mr. Williams, I for the person, because I never answered the question, never told y'all about who I really want to come back. I really want Mr. Williams to come back on the show because I believe, even though y'all asked him questions and then eventually when I got everything straight on my end, you know, with the questions and all that stuff, I felt embarrassed as a host. I felt embarrassed because I was having all these technical difficulties when I was y'all just don't know. I was ready. I was ready for this show. I said I got the questions. I did, looked at his website, and then boom, I'm freezing. I'm going in and out, and I felt real embarrassed as a host because I thought he deserved a better show than that. But this is why I'm blessed to have y'all as a panelist. Y'all kept the show going while I was still working out my stuff, and eventually when I got on, I asked my questions. But yeah, those are my least favorite shows when I have technical difficulties on my end. So when y'all have y'all technical,
like that's a testament to the chemistry and the actual power of this show. That in spite of everyone, because we all done had technical issues multiple times. But in spite of it, we're always able to move forward, to keep the rhythm going, keep the dialogue going, even when it's in the case of the host.
Yeah. Thank you, Dal.
I'm looking to teach. I'm looking to teach. She looking at me like, look, I'm looking at her like, all right, if she ain't gonna say nothing, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
But I know one of us is gonna keep it going, so let's just be smooth about it. That's all I'm thinking.
And the good thing is, go ahead, Teach.
I can think of one show that I did not like. All the men were talking, going back and forth, cutting me off. They cut me off the whole show. I had so many cuts and bruises.
What show was that? I think of that show. What show was that?
I can't remember the topic, but every time I go to speak, somebody would cut me off, and I was to the point where can they hear me? Or can they not hear me? What's going on? Should I put my microphone on? What's going on? Everybody just cut me off, and then towards the end of the show, the Beast like, let Teach speak.
Was that the documentary one?
Oh no! Like I said, this has to be during the whole. This is when it was Seafway, Dr. O, as well as us. But it was during that whole. It was during that whole politic time.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Because it was a lot of. All right, he's saying something. I just like, look, either me or Donnell is just trying to get in there to cut one of them off and make some headway. And then they jump right back in. It's like, damn it. And then them two go at it. It's like the next, I cut them in, then they go back at it. Then Donnell cuts them in, then they go back at it.
Yeah.
It was like, we're just trying to find and I know the show she's talking about because I looked over at T. That's part why I said what I said. Like, yo, She ain't said nothing. These two just going back and forth. We just trying to keep it going.
Right. That is true.
And
Okay.
my voice was too light, and I think Dee said something to the fact that her voice is light, and we have these big strong voices, and so that was the only one that.
I'll probably say something for like, look, we got all this testosterone. We need to hear a feminine opinion on this. We need to balance his opinion out.
Now, for
going on.
Yeah, it's funny that Teach mentioned that because a couple of shows as late, I've been getting cut off, and I'm probably like, look, I'm at the truck. I use my host card. Let me go ahead and say something now. Let me say something. So, but yeah, I do remember that show, Teach. Like, yeah, I was like, oh man. But then, I got one for you. I'm gonna get real shady with this one. What was the most disrespectful thing that happened to you on the show?
Document. That's why I want them back.
The most disrespectful thing, I remember it was something. I didn't catch it. Beast caught it though.
Yeah. I would say
I'm gonna catch the slip now.
It was something. It was like it went over my head, but Beast caught it, and so it didn't really faze me. But he brought it back to our attention. I'm like, oops, oh well.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I don't think there was too much disrespect. I just wanted to bring it up to see if y'all felt disrespected because it's also a sitting session too as well. So I can get the climate of the past shows so I can we be better for it down the road. I think I do. Now I'm gonna let y'all know because all the categories that I'm gonna come up with, or y'all probably might come up with, it goes back to that documentary show. The reason why is because of that show, I'm better with how the show is formatted and how it's run now. Because we was more strict with the host when I'm not the host, with the guests coming on. Because I felt that I wasn't in control until close to the end of the show. And I was more of like, I don't want to make him feel fearful or feel like he's being cornered in the show. And then after that show, I really had to sit down. Like I think I think I talked to Tisha after the show, and then Beast, I talked to you about the show a little bit later. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this show be a reminder of what happens when you just let the show go. When you just let, the guests just basically just come up in your house and just
get too comfortable.
Just destroy it. Yeah. And just, he's disrespecting the panelists and all that stuff. I said, I'm never going to allow that to happen again. So after that show, that's when I started tightening up the reins and being like, all right, cool. As a host, yes, let them speak. Let them say what they want to say. But when you need to stop them, or if you feel like they're being disrespectful, you need to step in. But thank goodness, all the other guests after, they were never disrespectful. They gave ample amount of time to say how they feel and all that stuff. I believe with all the guests that we had, we gave the utmost respect to them. I believe to the point where they would want to come back. Go ahead,
I can't remember who it was, but I remember. I think somebody called me fat. Basically saying that I was fat and unattractive, and yeah, I remember who said it. But I guess we had spiraled down in the conversation.
Was it from the chat?
No. It was somebody on the show.
I said that particular episode and session was just a poor example of getting too comfortable.
Mhm.
Was that from? Hold on,
So,
that show's kind of That show's it's coming to me. Was it from one of the panelists?
Yes.
yeah, like I said, that particular it was getting some folk were a lot more comfortable than others, and
Oh, I
one
remember.
in particular tried to impose that comfort onto the guest, which led to a lot of the contention amongst us. And that was I believe that was one of some of the things that, like I said, it initially went over teacher's head, but you starting to get real slick mouth, and when I hear anybody get slick mouth, my ear instantly perks up, and now I'm kind of personally invested in this conversation. So
I'm getting flashbacks
I
of
got
that
to the
show
point
now.
where it's
I
like,
remember.
yeah, it got to the point where it's like, I'm thinking I'm glad we not in the same building. Like, I'm glad this is over the internet. We all not physically in the same building, because I probably would have threatened him. Or I might have tried to swing on, slap him one good time.
Oh boy, I mean,
I,
I probably been the one
I'm
trying to
just,
hold him back. Good grief.
I definitely, I know me, and that level of comfort that they were exuding, I definitely would have instigated something. Like, I'm going to force your hand. I'm going to make you give me an excuse to put my hands on you,
Yeah, that
since
was
you want
below.
to get comfortable
Yeah.
and slick mouth. Especially when they was, like I said, they were saying stuff towards Teach, and thank God it went over her head. But like, I caught that, so I'll be damned if you're gonna be disrespectful, especially to a lady.
Mhm.
I remember
And
that
you
show
ain't got no
distinctly
just
now.
cause for it.
Right.
That really put me in the mind frame of like, now I'm feeling violent.
Yeah. Now, what? Okay.
I can't
Yeah,
I
go
can't
ahead.
have that as a panelist. I can't have that happen. So like that, I definitely got to do better and be more emotionally structured. So I can't allow that ever to happen again.
That
Hey,
happens.
Teach, go ahead.
That happens
Yeah.
when people aren't making their point, or their point is not being accepted, so they begin to attack. And I love me, and those that love me too. So who are you?
Mhm.
You sound like T over here. She said, "Y'all can hate all y'all want to, but I love me."
Mhm.
Hey, you gotta be like that. You gotta be
Yeah,
like
If I
that.
don't
All
love
right.
me, how can I expect the rest of y'all to?
Right.
I mean,
But
I had in the guys that I've made, I used to be a way bigger me, and I'm a smaller me now.
speaking of that, Teach, you did had a miracle on the show. Uh, you no longer have diabetes. That was a nice bit of news. I mean, that was great. But then there was times with Teach, as Roland Martin would say, she brought the funk. But I won't even say brought the funk. She brought the spirit. Show Teach. Even before these shows, this month and last month, where you was bringing the spirit, you was doing this even during the heyday of this show. It's like, oh, woo! Go ahead, Teach. Where you had literally had me, Beast, even freaking Brad sitting in the background just looking like, okay,
I'm just enjoying the show.
we just enjoying the show. Because mainly when we was doing those videos from YouTube, I think the one was with one of the black cop who was sitting there was trying to say what happened to Aubrey was within their rights to do, and that he was wrong, and how you was dissecting everything. And it was just like, oh, I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Because one thing we understand when teachers on the show, no bullshit is going to go through. None. 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 Like with like even when she caught Mr. O slipping, she let Mr. O. When you and Mr. O throw that, I think those confrontations are very underrated on the show. When y'all went at it, yeah, there are times where me and Beast, mainly Beast, had to step in like, "Hey, Mr. O, calm down, calm down." I remember those shows. Because I remember, yeah.
I say African versus an American black woman, and she know what she talking about. Not emotionally, intellectually, she know what she talking about.
Yeah, that
was so you the one in your emotions.
That was a big challenge for him because he comes from a society where it's a male-dominated society, and men have the final word. Men have the authority. So he and our battles were balancing out that male-female energy. So when we would go at it, it's because he was a man and I was a woman, and basically I should have just been in the kitchen cooking, asking him, what type of soup do you want?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, no, we're not gonna do that on this show.
Yeah, it was like I was on his playground and he kept trying to, put me off the playground.
And I was like, no, we ain't gonna do that here. No. And I think it was the John Lewis show when John Lewis passed away. We did a show about him, and he brought he brought up what's his name, the black Republican that passed away, and it just went on from there.
From
Herman Cain. Yeah, Herman Cain. Yeah, he had that nasty ass Godfather pizza. I don't care what anybody said. I had Godfather's pizza. Oh my gosh, that's one of the most nastiest pizza ever. First time I had was in Kentucky. I was hungry, and just think of a Pizza Hut crust with cheap ingredients on top. Now, when I'm talking cheap. When I'm talking cheap, I'm talking going to the Dollar General if they serve like shredded cheese and all that. I think they do that on the pizza, including the tomato sauce. Ugh, not something that you want to take your first date to. And it was disgusting. But yeah, y'all went at it back and forth, and I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah, but with me being a representative to the African Union, I go into spaces that are dominated by men. A lot of times it may be 300 or 400 men, and I'm the only female, or maybe another female, but she's in another capacity, i.e., the secretary, a clerk, or something like that. So I've learned to stand my ground because they don't expect you to be as intelligent as them. They don't expect you to have thought about things as deeply as they have. They really do see you as a second-class citizen. So that's an experience that I've had. And sometimes I have to watch myself because I can get aggressive, And for some men, that's actually kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not used to it and they see it for the first time, yeah, they would be very scared, I mean, it's just like you come on the show, you yell at people, it's like, oh, geez, like, calm down now. Yeah. I mean, even though sometimes, in the show you deserve to yell, definitely getting cut off that one show. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I am very passionate. And some of the things I believe, especially if it's some BS that you're trying to get over. No, we can't go there. I have to, So anyway, it has been a wonderful experience. One of the things I have not liked, I think I had 2 or 3 guests that I had arranged to appear on the show, and they didn't appear. So but that goes with the show, that goes with it. You're going to have cancellations. That's one thing that I didn't like is when I made the arrangements and people would not show up for the time. But nevertheless, we've had some wonderful guests on the show, wonderful panelists. Even Hassani, we brought him on one time to talk about technology and ADOS. He was a good person on the show.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to come back, and he never did. I still would send the invitation to him to come back on the show. But now lead me to this next question I want to ask y'all. The funniest show. Every time you think about it, it not only just put a smile on your face, it just have you just cracking up. I'm sorry, Teach. And while you do, I'm gonna give you some water.
The funniest show?
Yeah.
um, go ahead, Beast. let my mind warm up.
Off the top of the dome is anything Seafway and Professor O, because I just love laughing at their whole conversations. Just their whole approach to their explanations and the little mannerisms that they had always tickled me something vicious. To just hear them two want to go back at and what we need to do. See, because y'all see, I when I think of them two, I think about the holiness tradition of doing shout offs at the end of the year service, where you pretty much get up there and play charades according to people's distinctive spiritual shouts. Teach, you know what I'm talking about. People who sat like this or say certain things, certain mannerisms that they do when taken over by the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. That's what you see with Seaway and Professor O, because it's the same thing every time. You just got to give them a simple topic that you know they're going to disagree on and let it work.
Right.
Did you got one, or I can go ahead and take? I can go ahead and say mine. My one is when the Black Agenda, and Seepaway had his plan, and Teach was already asking questions. I could tell Seepaway was getting frustrated. I knew he was like. And the thing is, we all been in his situation before. We've been in his shoes before, when you're in front of everybody in class and you doing your project, rather than wait until they're done, already you got questions like, "Hey, how do you think that's going to work? What is this graph? You know that's not going to work." And Teach was just accepting his plan, and I was like,
"These numbers set to scale?" Before you get with excuse me, are these numbers set to scale? Are these figurative or theoretical?
Yeah, and as we kept going, I think you had to go, Beast, because you had to rest up for your next shift. So it was just the three of us, and Seepaway was like, it seemed like y'all, what, like, is anybody asking questions about my plan? And I'm like, I don't see any other comments on there. We had a good viewing that day. I think we had like over 100. Nobody was putting in questions. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to force the people? I said it's still going to be posted on the and which I did. I posted the plan that T sprung up, and then I put the plan that he had. I said I'm going to post it on the Facebook page, and I let the people decide. And yeah, go ahead, Teach.
Yeah, that was a big fault in depending on which page you were on. You can have one page that had lots of comments, and then another page that had no comments. So people couldn't see if they shared it. They couldn't see the comments. So that was fragmented. And I don't know how that could have been fixed, but that was fragmented. But I do remember that one show where and this always stays in my mind. I understood his point, but the relevancy of his point was what I was looking for. What he was talking about, these statistics and numbers and all this and all this. And the only thing that kept going through my mind is that if you lived your life by those numbers, you will always feel less than. You will always feel that your life is not of any quality. That was the only thing that I was hearing when he was saying, the richest white people hold all the resources in the world, and there's so many percentage of the people. Then the rest of the percentage of the people are way down here in these numbers, and that's the only thing that kept going through my mind. Let's critically analyze what you're saying. What you're saying is, 10% of the people hold all the wealth in the world, and the other 90% are just, average Joe people. Well, everybody, one, is not going to be rich. Two, like I said before, my life is fine. I'm not a mega millionaire, but I get to do a lot of things that people that's millionaires still haven't done.
Yeah.
So I can't look at them and say, "Oh, they have millions and billions of dollars, and oh, my life is so horrible." No, I can't. I can't do that, and that's how I feel. A lot of times, that same type of methodology of crunching numbers to make it appear something other than it's not. That mentality is mentality that they have fed African Americans, all minorities, and Africans. Like Professor O showed you Lagos, showed you the splendors of the city. They're not swinging out of trees. Yes, there are a lot of trees. See behind me, but they have brick and mortar houses. They have brick and mortar cities. They have automobiles. I mean, Lagos. I've never been to Lagos, but I would estimate it's the largest business center in Nigeria, and I think it's 4 million people. If you can imagine 4 million people, 4 million cars on the road is nonstop traffic jam. Things that you only see in Los Angeles or in
Or New
DC
York.
or New
Or
York.
here in
Okay.
Seattle.
But it's actually worse because I've been in traffic jams in other cities, even when we were in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, where I believe it was 2 or 3 million people there. And just to go 2 or 3 miles took like 30 to 45 minutes to an hour because you were just you were just in all stop traffic. Didn't have far to go. It was just too many cars to get through that particular thoroughway. So, and so for you to use those numbers, we passed by houses that were mansions and neighborhoods of mansions. And all Africans are not butt booty poor. All white people are not rich. And that's the critical analysis that we have to bring to every situation. If we believe those numbers, we have to look at who is behind the numbers and why are those numbers even important? Why are those numbers significant? Because it wants to constantly create a breach or separation between those and these. That's the only purpose of it.
Yeah,
For me,
because yeah.
others may take it away a different. But when I see those numbers, and the same thing, I mean, I know we jumping topics. I'm jumping topics. Same thing with this vaccine. As far as I know, they said by July the 4th, which we haven't got there yet, that at least our state will be at 70 to 80% vaccinated, and they have opened up the state. We don't have to wear a mask anymore, and blah blah blah. I
Yeah, North
estimate,
Carolina.
I estimate by September you won't hear nothing else about the COVID vaccine or the COVID virus. Won't nobody else die from it. All the number, it's just so planned out because they're rolling back the PUA, which is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. They're rolling back and cutting off unemployment. They're putting things back in order pre-pandemic. So if we're at 80% by July 4th, then we're out of the pandemic.
They say around September everything should be back to normal, but you got places that's already open, like Texas, one of the first ones that fully open, and so
Because in
they're like, yeah,
North Carolina is open. It's optional at this point. Like
yeah,
certain
we be getting there
stores
over here.
kind of still, like certain stores kind of require it just for the fact that it's a lot of like grocery stores mainly, like Walmart and like Food Line in particular. Those are only places I really see people actually wear masks
Mhm.
or being asked to wear masks. Most other places is optional at this point.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
If
think
you
over
want to, you
here,
can.
yeah,
But you don't
like
even have to.
yeah, like over here, you still required to wear the mask, but then you got people that says they fully vaccinated, which you can't tell. They coming in there without the mask. Like one day, I saw somebody just walked into the Dollar Tree. I'm like, wear your mask. Then my girl had to tell him, like, she just told the lady that he was fully vaccinated. And I'm like, how can you tell? That's like me not getting the shot at all and telling them that, hey, I'm fully vaccinated. You're not gonna believe me.
Well, they got
Yeah,
now because some folk been walking around with the cards. Because one thing that
yeah, because
was kind of
yeah,
questioning is there was talks of in order to get it up to those numbers of at least 80%, they were considering making it mandatory for your employment. So they was
yeah,
going to
because
start requiring jobs to show
to look at the
proof that
cards and everything. Yeah,
no, to show proof that all staff has been vaccinated.
because
And
they also I think you used to have the passport, so you could get on the planes now too. Like I got mine, I got mine close by, so just in case. Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm sick of tired of wearing the mask. I'm just gonna say that. Go ahead, teach.
you don't. They're not going to do it this time. What I perceive, and this is conspiracy theory. You know how I love my conspiracy theories, right?
Mm-hmm. Put on the hat. Putting on the hat.
This is my new conspiracy theory that, like you said, by September, COVID what? We won't even know what COVID is. I looked in the store the other day and those surgical masks, hospital masks, at the height of the pandemic or when it first started, I bought a set of 50 for $49. Okay. I actually bought two boxes. Now, the same store, same surgical mask, you can get 50 masks for $3.99.
What a pot price gouge.
I said,
excuse my language. Damn.
right. So I said, oh, I see. I said, so now is the time to stock up on masks because COVID is over, right? So let's go back, and this might not be in chronological order. It might not even be. Um, I can't give you the dates. This is totally off the top of my head. So we had I don't know which came first, the bird flu, the swine flu, or the H1N1. But one
Not in
came
that
out
order.
and it lasted about a year and a half, 2 years. It died
And
down.
then it's going away. Yep.
And it just
Mhm.
went away. And then the next one came, and it was concentrated in Asia, and it was they had their pandemic,
It
and then
always came from Asia.
down. And then the H1N1, it came, and they were offering the H1N1 vaccine here in the U.S., but it really didn't take off. So people got it, but not much. But we didn't have to wear masks or any such things like that. How
I forgot
so?
about SARS.
Anticipate. This is my theory. The reason why people are at 80% is that's the number they want you to believe that makes the nation safe, and they can roll back and die down the pandemic because They made their money on the vaccine. They had a price point they want to reach. They reached that price point in that vaccine. So now they made their money. They can let it die. Now, the next
If I
year,
could elaborate on that too.
one second, 1 second. So in the
Go ahead.
next year or two, it'll die down, and then boom, here come another one that we need to put our mask on, wash our hands, and get a vaccine for. There's another one coming. So while this one is dying down, and now they're targeting the U.S., then I'm gonna go ahead and stock up on my $3.99 mask for the next one.
Go ahead, B.
To confirm the second part, I was going to say, come September, if you look at the overall, they're saying 80% right now, so by September it should be a thing of the past. So from September on back, look at the actual global death toll, the actual confirmed global death toll. And if it's somewhere close to the 10 to 12% range, then someone achieved their goal. And we don't really have to worry about another Asia inferred disease hitting within the next year or two. It'll be maybe 5, somewhere in the 3 to 5 year range. Because the whole thing about this was population control. Prior to this becoming an actual disease, prior to Barack Obama making statements about it and kind of slyly giving niggas the heads up, like that was a real black thing he did in a very white way. He told us some shit was about to hit, but it was gonna hit after he was gone. But I digress. For being the whole point was a certain individual, billionaire, stating that we need to lose roughly 10 to 12% of the population to help ensure we don't go into any kind of global 2012 situation. Now we have a pandemic. It's global. It's killing a whole bunch of people left and right. Folk dropping like flies like the Black Plague. But then in a year's time, like T said, we have a vaccine. Vaccine is actually successful. Yet we don't have a cure for cancer or AIDS or leukemia. But that's another point for the conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're at the point of this thing is almost gone. Like said, avian, SARS, bird, swine flu have passed. But I just asked, what are the numbers? If the numbers get to the 10 to 12 range, then we don't have to worry. But if the numbers aren't at least 6 to 7% of what that motherfucker was asking for, then yeah, do what T says, stock up, because in about another year or two, we're going to hit with something else. It's going to apparently come from Asia. What is it now? We got bird, swine, avian, H1N1, SARS, COVID. So the next probable name for Asian-inspired probably some dumb shit like Denmark.
Hey, look, y'all talking about all these. Look. I'm trying not to get no more damn shots, okay? Because the military probably working on another shot now. So let's cross our fingers that this conspiracy theory does not come to tuition. But I'm gonna say one real quick, and then we're gonna go to another thing that I want to teach is the segments. The segments have made a real big difference in this show. It all stemmed from when Teach was like, we need to start talking about more about the culture of Africa and all that stuff. I said, all right, cool. And then I was like, but then Teach was like, it should be more of segments. I was like, okay, so you have a segment, Beast have a segment. And I remember we had a call and, and we came up with the segments. I said, Teach, do your segments based on your Facebook page, Facebook group. And then I said Beast, and Beast one was just, I mean, shoot, Beast community. I mean, he's talking from the streets. And I was like, Beast community sounds perfect. And bam. And then Mayo comes aboard, and I was like, well, Mayo loved, he wanted to do one with the lounge and with this one blues place that he's been talking about. I said, let's do one for his Mayo's Lounge. So, Teach, thank you for that, because that just gave Yaya own identity within the show. But the most important show for me, even though all the shows are important, was when Sleepaway's cousin, what happened to him, and their uncle actually came on the show. To me, you know what they said, that moment where you arrived, like, we're here now. I believe it was that show. And the crazy thing was, I was in Colorado. I was TDY, and I still did the show. And for me to still, do the show with that happening, I think, Teach, you was on the show. You can't. Who came in late? Was it you that came in late, Teach, or you was there the whole entire time?
I think I was there the whole time.
Yeah. So no, I think Sleepaway came in. I think Sleepaway came in late, and we was talking with the uncle and how he said that he was going to make I don't think he said full cover, but he's recovering well, and so it was great to have him come on the show and actually, kept it 100 with us, kept it real with us, and all that stuff, and once again, my heart and blessing goes out to the Blake family too as well, because I think he's out of jail right now, because he was actually protesting the verdict, and he actually went into prison. So hopefully he's out. Hopefully he's on bail. But yeah, that show was. Yeah, so I want to, once again, I want to thank him for having him on the show. I would like to thank Sleepaway for him coming on the show. So it's big ups to him. But let's go ahead and get to these segments, because we don't want to go over 3 hours. So after these commercial breaks, we're gonna have Beast go first with the community, and then we're gonna take a trip. Y'all already know what it is. We're going to Africa, and then we're gonna have our final thought, and we will be right back.
It's amazing where your life can take you when you just step out of your little home and engage with your community. Now, when I speak of your home, I mean your own personal space, and by community, I mean your fellow Black brethren. To just put yourself out there, let it be known not who you are, but what skill sets you possess. No matter how you come across someone in your community, embrace it and engage with it because you never know what's going to take you. As we celebrate this year anniversary, I look back at how my life has progressed and prospered somewhat as a result of accepting this offer. It started just off the fact of a simple interview, but the vibe of respect was so palpable that when the idea was given to me, there was no real hesitation about it. It was like, yeah. I mean, shit, honestly, I've been wanting to get into the little podcast game myself. I've been told I have interesting takes on things, so put me on film, see what happens. And Donnell gave me that opportunity, and I will always love and respect him for that. And as a result, I've been able to not only progress further with my own pursuits in my musical career, I've been able to reconnect with classmates and fellow neighborhood friends and individuals I ain't seen in over 20 years. And to now work with them and work with them on an endeavor that's for the community and sharing and engaging all our talents with each other and kind of learning each other again for the first time because we're seeing everybody in a new light. I've known most of these cats throughout school and running the streets. Hell, one of them, we got in the fights from the time I was 5 to the time I was 10. I mean, consistently. That was considered my nemesis. That's that time of Jerry on sight. But now me and him are damn near like brothers. Closest of friends that could reminisce, you would think we've been hanging around each other forever. Nah, we just grew up around each other. But real niggas respect real niggas. So, I'll say progress forward, and I've now had the opportunity to start a network and actually gain some management and promotional help on the business end and take on the role of being a vocal trainer. And my community itself has grown as a result of just starting one with Donnell. So I definitely thank him for it. And I thank everyone that has engaged with us along this last year. Whether you commented, whether you shared, whether you just watched, whether you just responded. I thank you. As someone who doesn't feel like they make a whole lot of sense when they talk, no matter how smart they're perceived, I'm very thankful that I was given a platform to express myself and not be deemed crazy. A little outspoken and colorful, but not crazy. That's a good feeling. Don't be scared to build your community. Engage with any and everyone you meet. Be cautious, be judicious, but always be welcoming. Just don't be foolish. thank you for this year. Thank you for watching. And thank you for coming by the community. And I hope to see you again. And I yield the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to talk about the Bajago people of Guinea-Bissau. And if you look at this picture, these well-oiled bodies, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the difference in culture. We're in a male-dominated society where men usually run and chase after the women, and the woman either accept or reject his advances. But in Guinea-Bissau and the Bajago people, it is the women who determine who their mates will be it lover, boyfriend, or husband. And it's done through this particular ritual of the women will cook a dish, and usually it may be a fish dish, and present it before the man. If he eats of the fish or eats of the food, then he is accepting to be the man in the capacity that he so desires. And one thing about this particular culture is that they don't have any taboos. And if you have a chance to read through the comments, you'll see that other people's culture is judgmental towards these people. And basically their culture says that they don't have any sexual hangups. If a woman chooses a husband and then chooses a lover, that's no problem. They don't have any problem with sexual freedom. But we here in the West, we have been conditioned that you choose one man and you stick with that one man no matter what. And so I found on this particular post, there were a lot of judgment concerning, oh, these are loose women. Oh, they're not well mannered. And this is where we go into judgment and fault finding based upon your own culture and beliefs. So when you are looking into other cultures, you have to look through the lens with a blank screen in order to learn their culture. You don't have to embrace their culture, and you definitely don't have to partake in their culture. So for the men were saying, basically they're going to eat out of every woman's dish. And so for them, that was fine. But I found the judgment basically came from westernized women that were projecting their values onto the Bajago people of Guinea-Bissau. So for our guest, Sifuwe, I want to know his personal experiences. Did he come in contact with the Bajago people? Did he experience them bringing him a delightful dish to take part of? I would be curious to see how that really plays out. I would be curious to talk to the women, to talk to the men, to really unearth this particular culture because it is totally different than our culture. We have a lot of hangups in our culture, believe it or not. And one thing as a cultural specialist is that, you cannot judge the people because each culture is formed by their common practice or their common agreement. And their culture may not be your culture. It does not make their culture wrong, and it surely does not make your culture right. What it is significant to the people that practice it. So I wanted to bring this cultural theme in and bring that cultural understanding that when you leave the United States, you have done just that. You have left the United States of America, and people are totally different and they move in the autonomy of themselves, not the autonomy of the judgment that you may heap upon them. And so I find sometimes when Americans go overseas, they end up getting their feelings hurt because for some reason, and we can go deeper with this, it is the whole view of imperialism. The United States was built on imperialism, and believe it or not, we practice as individuals imperialism. And sometimes we don't even know it until we go outside of the United States and we're presented in the face of a different culture. And somehow or another, you'll think in your mind, well, if they just did it my way, then things could be better. If they just did it the way we do it in the States, um, I could be more comfortable. And this is where Americans are uncomfortable in foreign lands because they want every place to be like America. And if you go with that type of attitude, one, you won't grow, two, you won't know, three, you really would have wasted your money because the beauty of going to another country is to experience their culture in its rawest form. And that's how you grow and that's how you begin to know. So, with that, um, Guinea-Bissau is a very small country, and actually, I've seen another video of that highlighted the major spots in Guinea-Bissau, and it actually made me want to go and visit. And definitely, if our former panelist, Sifaway Kabalenta, wins the Olympics, where she's representing Guinea-Bissau, definitely that would be a place that will spark tourism because he is representing Guinea-Bissau in these Tokyo Olympics. So for Sifaway, we wish you the best. You already made history by entering as the eldest Olympian in your swimming sports, and we hope that you bring home the gold. Go Sifaway. Guinea-Bissau, you're on the map. Guinea-Bissau, we're going to keep you in our mouth. We're going to keep you in our mind. We're going to keep you in our heart. And the ancestors from Guinea-Bissau that belong to Sifaway, empower him to win. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is my segment of the African Roots and Heritage Study Travelers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see what Keith Axton, a sincere thank you to everyone for following me to have an informative outlet of the special thing. Hey, this is what we here for, battle. We thank you for tuning in. Um, so many words that I could say about me and how this show was going to go. Um, I'm happy to have the panelists that I have. You know, usually when you have a show like this, they either come once in a while or something popped up and all that stuff. And because usually we usually do shows like before hashtag Fade to Black, there were times where, you know, I had my bell buddy Joshua Bazaris, love him to death. He was the longest partner I had for doing the Alamonte show when my show was syndicated. But even before him, there were times where people will come on and wouldn't come when they're supposed to, and it would just be me. When I really got this started, when I was doing it from Live from Iraq, we had to show up because we was there in a confined space called the FOB, you know, in the middle of Iraq. But even after that, I mean, it was hard to get somebody to come on the show constantly. So I learned to do a one-man show, but I was like, you know, you need somebody or a group of people where you shine more. And not only that it helps you shine more, it helps them shine more. And so when I came up with the show, I thought about Teach. Teach was the biggest inspiration for this show because I did promise her that I was going to give her a show that I was going to make her famous. I did say that. Teach will tell you. Um, and when she just, stuck around with it because I thought, you know, she's she's a professor, so her students and her craft comes first. But with the pandemic, she stuck with the show. She stayed with it. And I was like, okay, we got something going. Then Bragg, and then Beast, who I interviewed for the Alamonte show. He remember when we was having issues with freaking Facebook because we was playing his music and they kept muting his part, kept muting the show and taking everything away. And so then it comes down to this right here. Everybody stuck with it. Everybody stayed on the show with me. Gave their, taught their topics or topics that they came up with, topics I came up with, and we talked about it. There has been times where, debate have gotten really spirited. I mean, y'all may think that we got something against each other, but we don't. We have respectful, disagreements on this show, but we always come full circle. And that's the one thing that I wanted to do with this show. And I said a couple shows ago that we're going to be talking about more controversial topics and the most uncomfortable stuff that, people barely talk about. And we're going to start doing that much, much more come this next year. Talk about those uncomfortable conversations where people just, they just talk about a little bit and then they just set it off to pasture, just hoping that it will go away, but it would never will. But I'm blessed to have a great show, great audience, great panelists, knowledgeable, talented. It's been great because they bring the best out of me. They really do. They bring the best out of me to be the best host that I can, to make this show better, to come up with better topics. And, just if they're going to bring their all to the show, I got to bring my all to the show. And they do it every time, 110%. Make me step my game up. And if they're not stepping your game up, then I don't know what type of line of business you're in. So on to another great year. And once again, this is the final time that we're going to do the show here on Facebook. Facebook has been real. I got my little Oreo mini cake. I wish I could share it with y'all. But this is for a year. 1 year anniversary. Thank y'all so much. Let's keep going. YouTube is going to be our new home. And we're going to control the narrative on there. I just want to extend my deepest and most gratitude to everybody who's been on the show, from the host to past panelists. I'm talking about Sleep Away. I'm talking about Mr. Bragg, my bell buddy, and even Professor O. Thank you for making this show and shaping the show for what it is. To the current panel, Teach and Beast. Thank you so very, very much. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this going on YouTube. And right now, only thing I can say is sky's the limit. And with that, I yield the floor.
Wow. 1 whole year. It doesn't seem like 1 year. They go by very fast. And soon we'll be celebrating 10 years of the Fade to Black show. I just want to say, my final statement is that the happiest people do not have the best of everything. They just make the best of everything. So think about that. Think about that. You don't have to have the best of everything, but you can make the best of everything. And that's how we have done is Fade the Black Show. We just made the best of everything. And I thank you for allowing me to be your panelist, Keith. I thank you. You're number one fan, number one support, always encouraging words for me and for the other panelists on the show and the other panelists who watch invisibly. And I mean, not the panelists, but other fans that watch invisibly and sometimes you don't make comments. We want to thank you too because we know you watch, we know you're there, and we thank you for supporting us. And with that, this is raining. It has been raining buckets. So the flowers should be really pretty. It has been raining very hard all day for over 24 hours now. And so, again, thank you and enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Good night.
To a year of transition, to a year of trials, tribulations, but most importantly, triumphs. This has been an interesting endeavor all around, and I am more than amazed at how it has transpired. And this year is only the beginning. It can only get more interesting from here on out. So YouTube, do not demonetize us. We need this money. I won't be using it. Donnell will be using it for the show. Anything you see me do, self-funded. Just want to go ahead and put that out there. But to a year with the panelists who I've grown to know and revere, as well as respect, to the point where I feel like y'all kind of live around me. I would love to visit your towns and do live sessions. But to everyone watching, to everyone who has watched, and to everyone that will watch, thank you. Come back. And I yield the floor. Have a good one.
And ladies and gentlemen, even though Beast has got a dark screen, but we know that you're there. Another year. One thing I gotta say is another year. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna be live on YouTube. Once again, Facebook, thank you for everything. But we gotta go on to the next one. And that we go deep dive into more controversial topics. We also gonna have a lot more laughter on this show. Once again, shout out to Superway, who is representing Guinea-Bissau. Wishing up but the best, bring home the gold, as well as Alan Bragg. Alan Bragg, with your business of teaching us how to use a weapon. Wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors. And Mr. O, if you hear us, professional, if you hear us, with your project that you're working on right now, we wish you nothing but the best. Nothing but. And also for all the guests that came on the show, we thank you for gracing us with your presence. And we still extend the invitation out for you to come on the show, as well as to my panel that I love to introduce, and also for our outro as well. First of all, Real Chub Boy Popcorn, thank you for being the first sponsor. Sky Zone Society, thank you for being the second sponsor. Thank you for sponsoring this show. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we want to continue our partnership on not only just the new year, but many years down the road. I'm blessed to have this panel, and I see nothing but a brighter future as we continue to move forward. But we gotta go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for tuning in. As for I Need a Joke, aka Teach. As for my boy Peach Johnson, thank y'all for giving us a great year. Tuning in on Facebook. Thank you. Hashtag Fade the Black can't wait to set off the other year. Catch y'all later. And me, as your grace, Hosanna Almonte Morris. This has been hashtag Fade to Black. Y'all have a good one. We did it. 1 year anniversary.
Yes,
Remember, mark it on your calendar. The 25th of June, the year anniversary. We got some more.
Yes.
And YouTube, you better be ready because we coming. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye.
Peace.